If you needed a multi-tool in the early 90s or even mid 90s, this is probably something that you would have ended up with, or something very similar to it. The Gerber Military Provisional Tool, MPT, was specifically designed so as to compete against Tim Leatherman's Pocket Survival Tool for the US military contract that it eventually won. As the box itself says, take a look at it. Designed to U.S. government specifications and deployed by U.S. military personnel worldwide, the Gerber Military Provisional Tool is the most rugged, all-purpose tool in its class, and its design consists of 15 individual components. Guys, this is me, Fernando, doing another video for the Modern Survivalists. In this case, not reviewing the Gerber Military Provisional Tool, but gonna be reviewing the Leatherman Charge TTI, which is, in my opinion, the best multi-tool there is these days. Not only my opinion, the opinion of several other people that I respect, so it's not just me thinking this way. I'm using the Gerber Military Provisional Tool as comparison, as showing how multi-tools have evolved and how the Leatherman Charge TTI is these days the epitome, the culmination of an evolutionary process within multi-tools. Yeah, well, it's not that. It's not just talk. You can actually see that. See how it has evolved. It's more complex. It's more capable in many ways. It's clearly an evolution of what started, what Tim Leatherman started with his Pocket Survival Tool, which was very similar to a tool that you see here, the Gerber Military Provisional Tool. The advantage of the Gerber was that it had rolled edges and was slightly more comfortable to use, but still, if you look at it, you see that, for example, the tools aren't that amazing. The blade is kind of dull. It's pretty dull, I'd say. The utility blade it has is also dull. It has a bit more pokey edge, a pokey tip that could be used for making holes and such. Other than that, it's dull as well. Rip-off can opener of the Victorinox. Have a flat screwdriver there as well, and a lanyard. Short little tools, especially when you consider the size of the handle. If you see on this other side, you see that you had more space left. They just didn't make it longer. File is okay, and you have a Phillips screwdriver and a small flat screwdriver as well with a bottle opener. But proudly made in USA. But construction isn't that great, honestly. It feels loose all over. Rattles like a maraca, even though for me this is a collection piece that I haven't used much at all, honestly. And you still see that rattles, has play all over. Not great. It came with a leather sheath or pouch in its box. Now, if you look at and compare it and use it, especially if you do the comparison between these two, you just see how it has improved clearly so much. Why is it that the Leatherman Charge TTI is probably the best multi-tool there is these days? And of course there's bigger multi-tools, stronger, that have more functions and all that, and some people, you may like other multi-tools as well. The SOGs, Victorinox has nice stuff as well, but why is it that so many people, including myself, consider this to be the best multi-tool there is? The Leatherman Charge, the Leatherman Wave series. And if in case you didn't know, the difference between the Charge and the Wave is that the Charge has sculptures handles, and the Leatherman Charge TTI, those are made with titanium. This is titanium, and the steel used in the blade is S30V. Basically, that's the difference. Other than that, it's the same multi-tool, and the Leatherman Wave is the best-selling multi-tool they have. Now, I consider that for the price difference, you should really get the Charge TTI instead, because it's so much comfortable and nicer to use, and you have a better steel. Why is it that it has been so successful, the Wave Charge series? Well, first of all, the general size of it is just precise, and it's just perfect. It fits the average guy's hand rather well. It's not too small, it's not too big, and still it has all those functions that you want in a multi-tool. Of course, you have the pliers, which have been improved. Again, the idea of evolution and process of the improvement of the design. It used to be that the pliers had a bit of more weakness. There were people. I was talking with someone the other day, a guy that he was mentioning that he broke in one of the older waves. He broke the pliers. These are stronger than the original ones. It has been improved upon. But what I believe is the secret to the wave charge success is the 4 tools that you can easily access from the outside. All right. In other multi-tools, you do have a blade, right? And you have to open the multi-tool. You have to remove the blade like this. Sometimes it locks, sometimes it doesn't. But basically, this is it. You don't have this capability in most other multi-tools, and especially you don't have the beautiful blade that you have in a wave or charge, right? I don't know if you get to appreciate the difference. And this is accessible on the outside with single hand opening because of the hole, right? It's almost like having a pocket folder. It's almost like having a folder in your multi-tool. It's not just a flimsy little blade that you have to access on the inside. It is there already, has a good liner lock, solid locking system. You can close it again single-handed if you feel like doing so. As if that's not enough, you have another blade. This is more of a rescue blade. It has its serrations, has no tip for using it in rescue purposes without risking hurting someone with that. And you have the belt cutter, which is actually very decent. Not decent, it's actually very good. It cuts the seat belts as it's supposed to. Well, something that you should probably look, if you have a seat belt cutter in any other tool, try it. Get a piece of old seat belt material or something as similar as possible and try cutting with it. You will find that many supposedly seat belt cutters don't work nearly as well as you would have expected. Not the case here in the Leatherman Charge and Wave series. They cut as you would expect. They are also useful for cutting opening packages. You can even use this as a gutting hook as well, because it's very sharp. That wouldn't be a problem with this tool. Everything in this multi-tool I have used plenty, and I've used it for other things that you should probably not be doing with a multi-tool. I've carried this multi-tool for years, and there's tons of videos and reviews on YouTube. This is my take on it, basically because of that, because of the experience I've had and how happy I am with this multi-tool. Another thing that I think is, finishing with the tools that you have on the outside, easily accessible single-handed opening, liner locks. You have those other 2 tools which, they aren't just as a blade, as it happens with a blade, which you don't have just a blade, you have an outstanding blade. You have also, and you have to use your fingernail tool, extract it, you have an outstanding saw as well. This saw cuts through wood, all its 3.5 inches, give or take. It cuts through wood very, very well. I've never been disappointed by this. So it's not just that you have a wood saw, you have a great little wood saw. For its size, it's amazing what you can cut with it. Either bigger branches or smaller tree trunks you can cut if you put some time into it, or at least weaken enough that you can break it. Again, on the other side, you don't have just a file, you have the file in multi-tools. Diamond coated on one side, diamond pattern on the other one for working in wood, for working in steel. I've used this a lot. I've used this in so many occasions that I can hardly remember all of them. One that I do remember was I was having problems with my old Renault car. My old Renault. It had a radiator problem. It had like an L-shaped piece that connected to the hose and to the radiator. It had rusted and rotten and broken on the edge, so as to fix it I had to even that edge so it wouldn't be leaking anymore. I used this multi-tool, right? I used this multi-tool that you see here, and it did its job well. It has come in so handy in so many occasions. For tightening a nut, you won't have a problem with that. The pliers are well and proven design. Everything on the outside of the Leatherman Charge and Leatherman Wave series locks with a liner lock, right? so that's great as well. The saw, I've used it, and in my opinion this is the best striker for a Firesteel. I've used this in many occasions as a Firesteel striker. The best Firesteel striker there is. I get the most sparks using this than any other object for striking on a Firesteel. Perfect for that, and it's not damaged at all by that sort of use, even though it's probably not its intended purpose. The pocket clip is one of the advantages of these series of Leatherman tools. It makes your multi-tool not anymore an object, a tool that has to be carried on a sheath or some sort of pouch on the outside, which it comes with if you feel as doing so. This is the pouch, the sheath that came with the Leatherman Charge. You also have the clip. It does come with the chrome clip. I got another clip, the black one, because I feel it's, I don't know, I like it better the way it looks, and it's not as flashy. But the advantage of this is that you don't have, if you use it for daily use, if you carry this every single day, and you are entirely, you can do that without a problem. I've done it myself for years, and it's perfectly possible, and it's not something that bothers you. If you had this tool loose in your pocket, because of the weight, it would be a bit of uncomfortable here and there, but because of the clip, you can just clip it to your pocket, and you have your knife, you have your pocket tool all there without having to put a pouch through your belt every single time. It makes it so much handier than not having it. And if you look at some of the other tools offered by Leatherman, they clearly understood that. They clearly saw that lots of people saw an improvement and an advantage in that clip. Here's the Leatherman, what is this, the Sidekick, and the Wingman as well. They both have that same clip. Of course, it's not removable, and again, that's what you're getting when you pay a bit more. It's easily removable just by using the locks. You just press it and remove it, and that's it. If you're doing more work and you don't want the clip bothering you in your hand, you can just remove it, just a second, and you have those nice, comfortable titanium handles to work with. Right, that's what you're getting when you're paying a bit more, instead of going for the Wave, and you get the titanium handles from the Charge TTI. Same when opening the tool. It is more comfortable. You clearly feel that. On the inside, you have a flat screwdriver. I've used this for some prying as well. Again, probably not its intended purpose, not its intended use, but because I saw that it was quite beefy. Again, everything locks, just like on the outside. It locks with a back lock here, as you can see. Just press it and locks it, fold it back into place. You have a bit of a nail stud there for pulling it out. You also have a small Phillips screwdriver, which can be reversible and has the flat screwdriver as well. Mostly this is for working on your glasses. They clearly saw that some people had that problem. They had the glasses, little screws coming off. Even for doing some work on a watch, you can, some of them have, well, this is not the case, but others do have those little screws. If you look, for example, at this one, this is my G-Shock, fancy looking watch. You have those little screws there, and you can access those with these. Reversible, so flat and Phillips screwdriver. You also have scissors, which I consider it to be more of a luxury, especially when you have such a nice blade. If you have a nice knife, sharp, you rarely need scissors. It's more of a, I think it's a luxury. They're kind of small if you look at the size of a multi-tool, but again, it's that sort of luxury. I can perfectly live with it for this size, especially because they are well constructed and surprisingly rugged for its size. What I'm going to be using this for, well, I use it for cutting thread when I had to sew something and I needed that clean cut so as to get through the needle loop. I've used it for cutting fingernails as well. It has been holding on quite well, fingernails being maybe a bit of harder material than this little scissor was intended for in the first place, but it's still holding on well. On the other side, you have a typical can opener, which, you know, you don't fix what's not broken, so a classic can opener shape. Bottle opener as well. I've used this for scrapping things that I didn't want to use my blade for, poking through stuff, holes, for untying knots as well, and used it for opening cans. Countless cans that I've opened through the years with this tool that you see here. And then you have the bit adapter, which comes with one that has a medium-sized flat screwdriver, and on the other side it has a Phillips screwdriver as well. The disadvantage here is that, honestly, I found this to be quite short, and in many cases I just couldn't reach what I was going for because of the size, because of how, you know, it's a bit thicker and quite short when you look at it. In many cases just doesn't reach. You do have the option of having this adapter, and it doesn't come with the Charge TTI, but you can buy it and it can ride on the side of the sheath. In my case, I have it with a little flashlight on one side, Firesteel on the other, a needle, a bit of thread, and well, here it comes with the pocket where it has the other bits that just go into the adapter that you saw on the Leatherman tool. I have a bit of Hamado paper for fire starting. The sheath, it's leather, which may not be the best, most rugged material, but it's been holding on well through the years, and leather has been used for centuries for this purpose, so it's just, you know, it's okay. I don't have a problem with that. But my criticism would be that it's just a bit too short. Maybe having one that has a couple of longer and thinner tools. In some cases I found that if this had been thinner, it would have fit through what I was trying to reach with a screwdriver. So if they had one that instead of having this tool, they had two different tools, a medium size flat screwdriver and a medium-sized flat Phillips driver, that would have been useful in some cases where the other tool just didn't reach. But again, in general terms, it's an outstanding tool, except for those little criticisms that are things that, you know, because of the size as well, it may not be possible to get it solved in future editions. You have a nice pair of strong pliers. You have the wire cutter and the nail cutter as well, which I've used for both purposes, and it does work. I've even, you know, locked it tight on a nail and hammered it with a hammer on the side. Abusing it a bit more than it was probably intended to be, and it still held on. I've used this tool as a hammer itself, hammering stuff as an impact object, still doing good. Use it hammering on the clip when I needed to break some stuff, and, you know, doing things that you probably shouldn't be doing with a tool. I've used this. I'm just thinking of some of the unconventional uses I've done with for opening the Glock magazines. Poking through the plate, the back plate of the bottom plate of the Glock magazine, so as to open it, you know, pulling those and pulling them apart this way. I use it for cleaning on the go the barrel of my Glock, just using some tissue paper, making a little ball of tissue paper, some WD-40, pushing that little ball of tissue paper inside the barrel, and then with a pencil, using it as a rod, putting the pencil there and hammering with the flat of the side of the tool, hammering that piece of paper through the bore so as to clean it a bit on the go. And I've done that so many times that I cannot even remember, using it as a hammer. And in a lesser tool, it would have loosened a bit. You would have been having a bit more wiggle, because this is not intended to be used as a hammer in this way, even though I've did it so many times, and you still don't have any wiggle. I've had this tool in water, in sand, salted water. It's still going on. If, you know, sand got in and I had to disassemble it because It had a bit of grit. Little secret, if you have any tool, even Victorinox tool, and this is something that it says in the Victorinox manual, putting the tool underwater in hot water and working the mechanisms under the hot water and adding a bit of detergent, of dishwasher detergent, that, you know, instead of using soap, that soap has a bit more residue. Detergent is usually cleaner, so putting a bit of detergent in hot water and working it does help a lot. Some cases doing that, I didn't even have to disassemble the tool to get it back on its tracks. You can fully disassemble the tool if you have the Torx, the safety Torx screwdriver. It is a bit of a mess to assemble it back again, but if you have to do it, you can do it as well. You have ruler, a nice ruler that I've used lots of times as well, on the inside, both in inches and centimeters. Man, great tool. You know, one of those things that you can honestly tell people, if you need a multi-tool, buy this one. And for the things that you get, the extras that you get, I would indeed get the Charge TTI instead of just getting the Wave. Wave is a great multi-tool as well, but for the price difference, I would just go for this one. I would just go for the Leatherman Charge TTI. Guys, more videos coming. If you're liking what you're seeing, just subscribe and, you know, keep up with all this stuff. If you have any other suggestions or anything, just leave it there in the comments. If you can also go to the blog, which is themodernsurvivalist.com, where there's the forum as well, which has been updated with some cooler stuff as well, more easier to use and posting and such. So guys, take care. See you on our next video.